loyal to the Lord your God. Although those nations that you're about to dispossess do give heed to soothsayers, diviners, Metaholda, and all that kind of stuff. As for you, the Lord your God doesn't permit you to do that. So, how do I know what I should do? Well, verse 15, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet, like me, Moses says, from among your own people. Notice it's not foreigners, right? It's your own people. And you pay attention to that prophet. That's what you requested of the Lord your God on Horeb at the day of the assembly, when you said, if I hear the voice of the Lord my God anymore, if I ever see this great fire, I'm going to die. Right? And then the Lord replied to me, well, you know what? They're right, actually. I'm going to raise up for them a prophet like you from among their own people. I'm going to put my words in the mouth of that prophet, and that prophet is going to speak to them everything that I command. Anyone who doesn't heed the words of that prophet shall speak in my name, I myself will hold accountable. On the other hand, any prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, or even who presumes to speak in my name, a word that I haven't commanded the prophet to speak, that prophet should die. We live in the real world. And there's some serious problems with this law. And they're not problems, I think, weakness in the law itself. There are problems that I think the law itself is raising up. How do I know what I should do? God says, I'm going to raise up a prophet. It's going to look a lot like Moses, among your own people. And I'm going to take my words, I'm going to put my words in the mouth of that prophet, and that prophet shall say everything that I tell him to say. Anyone that doesn't listen to the words of that prophet, I'm going to hold responsible. However, if there's any prophet that speaks a word in the name of a foreign god, or in my name, that I didn't command that prophet to speak, that prophet should die. So, let's see. For example, if a prophet stands up and says, thus says Baal, clunk, right? Gets stoned, right? Obviously, that's easy. So far, so good. Thus says Yahweh, such and such and such and such and such. It's easy when they prophesy in the names of foreign gods. That's easy, because there's a difference between Yahweh and Baal, right? When they start prophesying in the name of Yahweh, is every prophet that prophesies in the name of Yahweh a true prophet? Is every prophet that prophesies in the name of Yahweh a false prophet? It would be really helpful if I could know an oracle, a prophecy that God has spoken. Because then I could follow it. And ipso facto, if that word wasn't something that God has spoken, I wouldn't have to follow it. Make sense? Notice what Deuteronomy does here, because I think it's absolutely brilliant. Verse 20, just sort of getting a run on this again. But if any prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, or who presumes to speak in my name a word that I haven't commanded that prophet to speak, that prophet should die. You may say to yourself, Roy Heller, you may say to yourself, how can we recognize a word that the Lord has not spoken? Well, in fact, that wasn't the question that I was asking, because in fact, that seems to be rather backwards. I don't want to know a word that the Lord hasn't spoken. I want to know the word that the Lord has spoken. But notice Deuteronomy doesn't answer that question. Deuteronomy answers the question, how do we know a word that the Lord has not spoken? Well, if a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, but the thing doesn't take place or prove true, It's a word that the Lord hasn't spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously, and don't be frightened by it. All right. Again, we don't deal with this until spring semester. Again, we all live in the real world, right? Again, we don't deal with this until the spring semester. Anybody just happen to know the story of Jonah? Right? God says to Jonah, go and tell the Assyrians, 3 days I'm going to destroy the whole city. Jonah goes, eventually gives the message. The people repent. The city's not destroyed. In 3 days, the city's going to be destroyed. The city's not destroyed. It seems to me there's a problem, and that is any prophecy that actually has an effect doesn't come to pass. So there's and also, how can I know? It says the word that the Lord has not spoken. But that, in fact, is not what I really want to know. I want to know the word that the Lord has spoken. And here's what I think Deuteronomy says to that. And again, we'll deal with this when we do with Samuel, and we'll also deal with it when we deal in the spring semester. Can you know that a word that the Lord has not spoken? Absolutely. Absolutely. My opinion, words that vilify people, words that oppress others, words that lead to death, words that lead to castigation, words that lead to division, maybe not division, but words that lead to, oppression, torture, ipso facto. It seems to me that those are out of bounds for the vision that God shows us in Deuteronomy. Can you know that a word that the Lord has spoken? Just because you know a word that the Lord hasn't spoken, does that mean that you know a word that the Lord has spoken? I don't think so. And I think that that's what Deuteronomy is really trying to show you. One of the things that we're going to see over and over and over when we get to the book of Samuel is that prophecy, if you want to base your life on the words of the prophets, it's tough. In our own lifetime, at least in my lifetime, I've seen this over and over and over. Jim Jones, just down the road, Waco, Mr. Koresh, people that stand up and say, "Thus says the Lord," and people listen to them. Because of course, if they don't listen to the words of the prophet, God takes care of them. So, you got to listen to the word of the prophet. It's almost as if I wish that there were some criterion by which I could take the words of a prophet, and I know that these are God's words, and I could see if they match up, or if they don't. I wish that there were some book that I knew was the way in which we should live and move and have our being. So that I could take that vision and line up anything else and to see if it fits or if it doesn't. And it seems to me that's what Deuteronomy is trying to argue. If the words of a prophet line up with Deuteronomy, awesome. If the words of a prophet don't line up with Deuteronomy, plunk. Because at the end of the day, Deuteronomy would say, I believe, if you know Deuteronomy, you don't need the words of the prophet. Because those words are already in your mouth. Those words are already in your mouth and in your heart. Really quick. Jump, 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 jump. Chapter 30. Chapter 30. That little explanation reads a lot better than it was when I was saying it. So you can buy the book. Chapter 30. When all these things have happened to you, blessings, the curses, that I've set before you, if you call them to mind among the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, see, because now the curses happen and they're away, exile, they're away from the land. Even there, if you call them to mind among the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and even there, you return to the Lord your God, and you and your children obey him, listen to him, pay attention to him, hear him, notice him, focus on him with all your heart, with all your soul, just as I'm commanding you today, then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and will have compassion on you, gathering you again from all the people among whom the Lord your God has scattered you. Even if you're exiled to the ends of the world, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there he will bring you back. It's because this covenant, not like the covenant God, not like Leviticus, this covenant, if it's broken, it's only broken until you return. This covenant is infinitely renewable. Because I can tell you, you will break it. But his mercies are new every morning. Even in exile, even after punishment. It's kind of like what I said before, judgment is never the end of the story. Never the end of the story. Never the end of the story. Even in exile, God will bring you back. The Lord will bring you back to the land that your ancestors possessed, and you'll possess it. And he'll make you even more prosperous and even more numerous than your ancestors. And moreover, the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants, so that you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, in order that you may live. Notice who's doing that. You don't do it to yourself. God does it. The Lord your God will put all these curses on your enemies and all your adversaries who took advantage of you. And then you shall, again, obey, hear, pay attention, notice, focus on the Lord, observing all his commandments that I'm commanding you today. And the Lord your God will make you abundantly prosperous in all your undertakings, in the fruit of your body, in the fruit of your livestock, in the fruit of your soil. Because the Lord will again take delight in prospering you, just as he delighted in prospering your ancestors. When you obey, when you hear, when you listen, when you focus on the Lord your God, by observing his commandments and decrees that were written in this book of the law, because you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Look, this law that I'm commanding you today, it really isn't. It really isn't too hard for you. I mean, it isn't. I'll tell you what's hard, Leviticus, that's hard. This isn't too hard for you. And it's not too far away. Leviticus, it's not too hard, and it's not hoity-toity. It's not up in heaven so that you say, oh, who's going to go up to heaven for us and get it for us so we can do this? No. It's not even like far away on the earth. It's not even beyond the sea that someone say, oh, who's going to cross over the other side of the sea and get it for us so that we can hear it and observe it? No. You really don't even have to pay tuition to Perkins. I mean, you really don't. I mean, the truth of this book is not locked inside this room. It's not esoteric. No. This word is already near you. It's already in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it. And you really can. Look, set before you today, Moses says, life and prosperity, death and adversity. If you will obey the commandments of the Lord your God that I'm commanding you today by loving the Lord your God, walking in his ways, observing his commandments, decrees, and ordinances, then you live. Duh. And become numerous. And the Lord your God will bless you in the land that you're entering to possess. But if your heart turns away and you don't pay attention, but you're led astray and you bow down to other gods and you serve them, I declare to you today that you will die. It's really true. You're not going to live long in the land that you're crossing the Jordan to enter and possess. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. So, I wonder what I should do. Choose life. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live, loving the Lord your God, obeying him, holding fast to him, because that is what life is. I am the resurrection and the life, says the Lord. What about living for a millennia? It's focusing on God. And as we Christians, as that is manifest in life, death, resurrection, ascension of Jesus Christ. That's life. That's what means life to you and length of days, so that you may live in the land that the Lord swore to Abraham. That's about it. Cool. So anyway, that's Deuteronomy. We could have a whole class on that. But anyway, next time, Joshua. I love Genesis. I really like Exodus, at least the first half. Leviticus actually is, and really is, the center of the Torah. Numbers, and it's okay. Deuteronomy, obviously I love it. Joshua, I hate. I really do. It's my second least favorite book in the Bible. And so, just come prepared for a very different lecture next time.